Hey everyone, it's John Taylor here on my trading desk. Today is November 17th, 2025. Please give the video a thumbs up and a like and a share. Let's get the word out. Exciting day today. Stock market's just opened up. Monday, we've got a lot of news to go over. Looking at the economic calendar. First, not much on the economic calendar today. I'm trying to speak up too to get audio a little better. So we got Empire State Manufacturing Survey. I go over geopolitics, socioeconomics, and look at capital markets. Not a financial advisor. Federal Reserve, we got Fed speak today. 10 o'clock, we had construction spending, and then later on, Fed speak. So this week, November, on the 8th, tomorrow, we got import price index, industrial production, Philadelphia Manufacturing Survey, and then on Wednesday, housing starts, building permits, trade deficit, and Thursday is a big one with unemployment report. A lot of people are being laid off and fired because of automation with the artificial intelligence and AI and deep learning and large language models. Hourly wages, initial job claims coming up, and NVIDIA, everyone's waiting for the NVIDIA report. So let's go over geopolitics first. We'll look at, let's see if I can get CNN working this morning. Breaking news, let's look at the left side of the political spectrum. A lot of news is going on. The government's back opened again, and then we've got housing and unemployment and inflation and the de-dollarization event, and with all these news stories. All right, CNN is reporting Trump urges Republicans to support looming House vote on the Epstein files. So Trump hasn't made a decision on striking Venezuela. U.S. raises pressure on Venezuela as Trump suggests there could be talks with Maduro. So geopolitics are heating up. John Bolton on Trump's new escalation with Venezuela. Charlotte on edge after dozens arrested in immigration crackdown. So a lot of stuff's going on here in the good old US of A. And then Elon Musk news there with his dad. And Trump is right, he lowered some of your costs, but he also made many prices higher. A lot of news with the tariffs. And so that's what's being reported on the left with CNN. And then on the right, we got Fox News. Let's take a look at it real quick. Fox News, the right. I look at both sides, try to remain politically balanced, as they say. But yeah, I got my new Bentley hat. Check it out from Hallman. We're going to talk about that in a moment. So Blue City emerges as major human gangs, and oh man, Supreme Court decides on whether to take up Trump admin border request. Newt Gingrich. All right, got that. Pence, Trump clash again as White House pushes policy to lower drug prices. So we got Peyton, sideline blunder cost Broncos an official collision leads to costly penalties. Prince William, oh man, the royal family, got news there. Tariff rebate, rebate payments, stimmy checks. So a lot of going on there. So let's look at what's being reported on bar chart first. So I look at bar chart and then also Yahoo Finance. Please check out the, not a financial advisor, read the risk disclosures below. So stock supported by strength in chip makers this morning and AI, artificial intelligence stocks. So Novo cuts Wegovy prices, but doctors see cost challenges for patients. Wall Street drifts as Alphabet rallies, and NVIDIA sinks. Sorry about that, word blunder. So speaking of stink, people have sold, apparently Peter Thiel sold some stock in NVIDIA, and so did SoftBank. So it has the AI bubble burst. Emirates announces an order of 65 Boeing 777s. $38 billion at the Dubai Air Show. Warren Buffett says investors should measure their investing success on slugging percent, not batting averages. Semiconductor stocks just got a new price target. Nasdaq year-end playbook. $1 trillion reason to buy advanced micro devices. So there's chip wars going on. You know, NVIDIA versus Intel versus advanced micro devices. So this is what's being reported on bar chart. S&P 500's off about 10 points. The Nas Mini off 27 points. The Dow Futures off 45 points. The VIX at 20.27. The Dixie 99.40. The de-dollarization event. The 10-year at 112-195. Crude oil, you know, bear kind of conditions at just about $60 to the barrel. Nat gas, $4 spot 52. Gold is off about $28 to 4,065 an ounce. Silver at $50 an ounce. You know, corn. So let's look at these commodities here. Not a commodity trading advisor, informational purposes only. Stock market leaders: Tesla, NVIDIA, Google. Google's awesome. You know, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway takes a position in Google, up 5%. Amazon off about 2%. Apple Computer, amazing, off about 1%. Micron Technologies up 3%. AMD active. Meta Platforms, and Palantir. Palantir's off about 2%. So, you know, wow. So these are the stories being reported on bar chart. Now let's look at Yahoo Finance here for a moment. Alphabet stock rallies after Berkshire reveals $4.9 billion stake. Berkshire's move, maybe one of the last under Warren Buffett, comes amid concerns over big tech's heavy AI presence. You know, I love Google. I've been a shareholder in Google for years. Stocks wobble as Wall Street looks ahead of NVIDIA and data releases. Besant, Trump's $2,000 dividend checks need Congress vote. So more stimmy equals more inflation and hyperinflation. Congress is going to revisit stock trading rules amid Fed scandal. Jefferson says Fed should move slowly as bank looks divided. Amazon seeks $12 billion for the first U.S. bond sale in 3 years, more debt for Amazon. Peter Thiel's fund sold off the entire NVIDIA stake in Q3. So, you know, SoftBank sold shares in NVIDIA, so did Peter Thiel's fund, so perhaps they know something. Jeff Bezos, to co-lead a new $6.2 billion AI startup. The New York Times is reporting. Bitcoin humbles Wall Street faithful after $600 billion plunge in Bitcoin valuation. Man, so is a good time to buy a house. That's another story. EU to warn of Latnik against expanding U.S. steel tariffs. Target and Starbucks are both looking for a turnaround. Star Fluffs. So amazing news stories here. CoreWeave's worst ever week shows AI traders are getting picky. So Block upgraded, Dell downgraded, Wall Street's top analyst calls. Bezos reportedly returns to trenches as co-CEO of new AI startup, Project Prometheus. Amazing. Japan's Takachi has few options to end China retaliation. Senior drivers, news on that. AI trade book. You want to own the leaders. The AI trade is the top mind of investors for NVIDIA earnings. Now this Wednesday on the 19th of November, NVIDIA, everyone's going to kind of look at that. But some big people are selling in advance of NVIDIA's earnings, I guess. Man, so Bitcoin erases entire 2025 gain. Will crypto sink deeper? And it says here why NVIDIA's Q3 earnings could be a catch-22 for the chip giant. Could Bitcoin's bear market drag other cryptocurrencies with it? It already has. I mean, MicroStrategy is off, 50% dip or greater, trading less than par value. Bitcoin enters a bear market. It was as high here a month or so ago of about 125,000. So That's what we have being reported on Yahoo Finance. So these are interesting stories. You can check out the links below. Read my ebook for free. I just published a book on Amazon recently, Mastering Agentic AI Graphic Artist course for artificial intelligence, AI event planning, AI green energy course, AI business writing, AI virtual reality development. So I'll put a link in below for some of my books you can read. AI Introduction to Artificial Intelligence Robotics course. So that's really what I have, looking at the news. So I'll just kind of do a little rant today. Might do a live trade. But it don't look like much, but I own thousands of these. These are thousands of pure 0.999 silver bullion coins that I'm now a seller of. Now, back when a few years ago, when the price of silver bullion, looking at, again, not a commodity trading advisors, but I do look at commodities. So on bar chart, the greatest weighted alpha as far as commodities is concerned is silver, the metals complex. Precious metals like silver bullion, gold bullion, platinum, palladium, silver, platinum, gold, and palladium. Silver alone has a positive 64.39 weighted alpha. Platinum, 58.68 weighted alpha. Gold bullion, 45.74. Palladium, 42.33. Copper, Miss Dr. Copper. The Nasdaq is up. Peter, these are all the top leaders as far as the futures long-term trends. Now the bottom price commodity that has the worst weighted or greatest negative alpha, I had spoken about this in some of my other videos, is orange juice at negative 65.28, butter cash settled, rough rice, cocoa, sugar, lumber, physical, oats, non-fat, dry milk, cheese, hard red spring wheat, lithium, spring, so these crude oil is off. So in a perfect world, what my trade is now is I backed the truck up and purchased epic amounts of the silver bullion, when it was in the same condition that orange juice is in today with the greatest negative weighted alpha. Now it's reversed. So now silver, platinum, gold, and palladium have the greatest weighted alpha. So I'm a seller. I'm not selling my entire position, but I'm starting to squeak out sales on my eBay sales of selling silver bullion coins that I accumulated when the negative weighted alpha was the worst for silver, platinum, gold, and palladium. So I always do everything in reverse. And so let's look at MicroStrategy stock. MicroStrategy, MSTR, again, not financial advice. I can't emphasize that enough. See, I used to be a financial advisor, and I worked on Wall Street. And then, so my first gig, I interned while I was at uni at Payne Weber. So I learned the securities industry really well in the stock market. And then what I do now, I used to give people financial advice, but I give myself financial advice and I take my own financial advice. So MicroStrategy. All right, so in the last 52 weeks, MicroStrategy stock shares, is that right, has gone from $543 to $194. So today the low is 197, and so its weighted alpha is a negative 58.48. So that's, and looking at the fundamentals, it's a holding company that owns Bitcoin. So I'll read it here. MicroStrategy, together with its subsidiaries, operates a Bitcoin treasury company, principally in the U.S., Europe, and Middle East, Africa, internationally known as Strategy, formerly known as Strategy Inc. So it's based in Corner, Virginia. So this video is going to be a little bit longer, so I'm kind of doing my research dynamically, and they're basically in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. So MicroStrategy, it's just, so they're a Bitcoin holding company. So I'm looking at the shares, and it's trading apparently, looking at the fundamentals, book value, price to book is 1.15 to book. And the news story a few days ago, and the price to earnings ratio is 9.78, so it's very conservative PE, but I usually look at book. And so I'm looking at opening a position on MicroStrategy as a pure play, as everyone else is experiencing all of the margin calls in Bitcoin. Has it gone into, Bitcoin has had a price dippy dip from 125,000 approximately to now, let's get a price quote here real quick on Bitcoin, see where it's trading. Bitcoin's changing wallets right now at 90, low today was 93,573. So, for the year, so that's a big dip. Just on the 6th of October of 2025, it was approximately 125,000, and now it's at 93,000, about approximately 94,000. So that's a nice bear market condition. And so looking at MicroStrategy MSTR shares as a pure play on Bitcoin, let's look at it here. MicroStrategy shares are trading at $197, and they were, $473, $455. I guess this is trailing 52-week, $543 versus $193. So it's had a nice dippy dip. So I might be opening a position on strategy. So I'm always looking to do the opposite. So there's been huge margin calls. All those, I tip my new Bentley hat that I got from Hallman Motors. Special thanks to Hallman Motors there in Fort Lauderdale. They wanted to sell me a new Bentley, so I'm looking at it. And then also they had a mega yacht that I'm looking at. I've done so well with this, with my precious metals, and then also Bitcoin, and then my synthetic Bitcoin mining rig over the last year, plus all the quantum computing stock shares. So we'll take a look. It says here it's a big week for earnings this week with NVIDIA, and some key retail names are taking center stage. NVIDIA, Home Depot, Walmart, Target, Lowe's, Palo Alto Networks, Medtronics, and PDD Holdings are reporting. So sticking to the fundamentals, this sell-off in the shares in Palantir is one thing, but then also strategy. So I'm taking a look at it. And then in a perfect world, like I was saying on the commodity side, I would be selling some of my precious metals complex and then accumulating orange juice. It's just that I can't accumulate orange juice as in a physical commodity like I can the precious metals complex, because OJ orange juice doesn't have that long of a shelf life. These products have a 5,000-year shelf life. So that's really what I'm kind of looking at today. And then, so let's look at the different stock shares. All right, let's look at real quick here. Might do a trade here live. Sometimes I'll do a trade. Time for a coffee break. BKCH is trading off. Block is off a bit. Blockchain shares, Ethereum, Ripple, XRP. I DCA'd over, twice a month. I DCA Bitcoin and then Ethereum. So where do I go? what stock shares do I look at accumulating? Amazon and Ford partner on used cars. NVIDIA price target is raised. So daily movers. So looking at, shares that are, stock shares that are, say, new highs and lows for the year. The de-dollarization event is something too. Looking at, the U.S., the Dixie. All right, new lows here for the 52-week on stocks. So I'm looking for some value shares that have 100% R-square value on its downtrend. So, looking at these shares, trying to find, the AI stocks have been taking a hit, and then the cryptocurrency mining shares are off also too. So looking at, let's say, AI stocks. Let's look at crypto stocks shares. Let's see if we can get some negative weighted alpha in stock shares or value. Let's see, main view, 3-month change. Strategy's off like 50%. Bitcoin mining, Bit Mining Limited is off 35%. Grayscale Ethereum Trust is off. Mara Holdings, big dip. Block Inc., Coinbase shares are off. Let's see the year-to-date change. Not year, okay. Canon Inc., CAN, a crypto stock. Blockchain, Argo Blockchain PLC ADR is off 53%. eBang Holdings Strategy, Accenture is off. So I'm looking to buy the dip. PayPal is off, the PayPal Mafia. DocuSign is off 25%. Bit Digital. So this is where I look whenever a stock market is, rolls over, typically, October, November, and then certain sectors go into a bear market. AI stocks, let's look at the AI shares that are selling off. See if we can look at those on book value. Priced, let's see. Year-to-date change. All right. C3 AI is off 60%. SoundHound, 40% dip. Accenture, Shutterstock is off bad. CRM, Salesforce is off about 28%. Adobe. So Iron Mountain, Tesla shares, is active. So, look at AI stocks, crypto stocks, semiconductors. So, battery stocks, biotech companies, cannabis stocks, clean energy stocks, crypto stock shares, cybersecurity, data center stocks, EV, electric vehicle stocks, fintech, gold stocks, Magnificent Seven, metaverse stocks, nuclear energy shares, oil stocks, power and infrastructure, quantum computing, REIT, real estate investment trusts, semiconductor stocks, stagflation stocks, SPAC stocks, and world markets. So where is the value? So let's see, crypto. Again, we're going to review, and I know this is a long rant. So stay with me, and I'm trying to find some value. I'm doing my research here for myself. So again, Can Inc. is off 56%. Argo Blockchain, Strategy, Accenture, Mara Holdings. These shares are rolling over into bear market conditions. So let's look at this again. Here, let's look at it technically. I don't do the technical analysis, but I like to purchase shares. Let's say CAN Inc., right? Let's see where the shares are at here. Let's see how bar chart has them ranked. Bar chart has Canon Inc. ADR. The stock shares are, big dip from $3.27 to approximately 53 cents per share, trading today at like 86 cents. So that's a, stock value play possibly. Let's look at it. So I'm looking at the entire sectors. NCTY, the 9 limited ADR, it's all 54%. So that's how you develop wealth and to be able to stick around and stay in a market, is when everyone else is selling and the margin call transpires. 1929 to 1932, the stock market dipped at that time about 90%, and then how well has it performed ever since then? So looking at how to participate in a bear market to be able to survive it, again, it's owning tangible assets, what are known as RWA, or the real world assets, precious metals, real estate, cars, boats, you can purchase wholesale, fine arts, these are the shares that process that I look at. Again, I've been at this game of speculation since 1987, so I've seen it all. I survived the 87 stock market dip while I was at uni, then the 1990-91 dip in the recession, the 2000 dip, too big to fail, the bank bailouts, and the great financial crisis there, in 2008-09, and then the 2020 dip, the thing that we can't talk about, and then all these dips in prices, and then always looking at building a foundation of assets for myself, not so that I can make a lot of money, but just so I can, survive the game and be able to survive, and owning tangible assets. No leverage. I don't use the leverage. So that's what's being reported on bar chart technically, but I might be looking, to, perhaps open a position in strategy. Michael Saylor's been talking recently, MS, about how it's a non-event with the price retracement in Bitcoin, which I would agree to. I mean, Bitcoin can only go to zero. Strong sell is 88% on strategy. So as soon as, and I'll possibly put the link down below, this recent dip in price in strategy has been from about $455 a share to $197. So it's just dipped like this with the bear market in Bitcoin. So with that, and then looking at the fundamentals, again, trading at book value, trading at less than par value. It's off again today. Again, I don't give financial advice, but as soon as strategy MSTR goes to 100% strong sell, then I might very well start picking up shares in MicroStrategy. So that's what I have for today. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and a like and a share. I'm going to try to do a lot of research today. Okay, let's look at some of the stock shares that are inside of the 𝐿XX blockchain fund. All right, IREN Limited, talked about it. Stock's up nicely today, up about 5%. I'm a shareholder. In fair disclosure, I own shares in all of these companies, most that I've mentioned. So IREN is off. I mean, at one time it was $76 a share, up about 622% for the year. So it can have a dip. Riot Platforms. I own stock in Riot Platforms. I turned my fan on here. Riot Platforms dipping in price. So this is part of my synthetic Bitcoin mining rig that I invented. So there's people that are building the GPU miners in an effort to mine Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So my invention invented about 5 years ago. I started mining Bitcoin on a synthetic basis, combining DCA purchases of actual Bitcoin and then combining it with the purchase of blockchain ETF, the Global X blockchain ETF. It's a mouthful. So it owns Coinbase, Cipher Mining. Stock's been a major winner. Cipher Mining, Bitcoin mining ecosystem. So I own it. So let's look at the definitions of these companies. IREN Limited, a vertically integrated data center business powering the future of Bitcoin. All right, so that's for IREN Limited. Riot Platforms is a Bitcoin mining company, engages in the provision of special cryptocurrency mining computers. Riot Platforms. Coinbase, I own stock shares in this. It engages in the provision of trusted platform that serves as a compliant on-ramp to the on-chain economy and enables users to engage in a wide variety of activities with their crypto assets. All right, so that's Coinbase. Stock's off 5% today. Cipher Mining operates a Bitcoin mining ecosystem in the US, talked about it already. Cipher Mining, and then TeraWulf. I own stock in TeraWulf. Up nicely today, about 2%. They own and operate a fully integrated, environmentally clean Bitcoin mining facility. TeraWulf. They're in Easton, Maryland. Applied Digital, incredible company, been a great performer for me. Applied Digital is a tech company which engages in provision, development, and operation of data centers, provide computing power, data center hosting businesses, and HPC hosting business. So they're in the ecosystem of Bitcoin mining. Hut 8, I own stock shares in Hut 8. They're based in Miami, Florida. Hut 8 operates a Bitcoin miner that focuses on mining and provides digital asset mining, hosting, and managed infrastructure operations. So that's Hut 8, been a great winning stock. CleanSpark, time for a coffee break. CleanSpark, Bitcoin mining tech company. Its operation, they do data centers for CleanSpark, College Park. They're based in Henderson, Nevada. Been a great winning stock. Mara Holdings, interesting company. Mara Holdings, is a digital asset company which engages in mining crypto with a focus on Bitcoin ecosystem. They're based in Hallandale Beach, Florida. And Bitfarms Limited. So these are, the 52-week high and low for this ETF. The Global X blockchain ETF is the low for 52-week trailing is $28. The high is $123. So I've been in this ecosystem. I combine the DCA of Bitcoin, like I said, a 7-to-1 ratio, and you can read my ebook down below that I penned, the synthetic Bitcoin mining rig. What's the sense in building a GPU miner for several $1,000s when you can just use, read my ebook for free and create a free Bitcoin mining rig? So that was my logic. And then quantum. Let's look at these quantum stocks. This quantum ETF, the Defiance Quantum ETF, that's been incredible. They own shares in Tower Semiconductor. I own shares in all these companies. Rigetti Computer. There's a lot of talk about IBM and Rigetti Computer. AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. These are all, Quantum tracks an adjusted weighted index of companies involved in the research and development of quantum computers. So, Micron Technology, stock symbol MU. Teradyne. Let's look at Rigetti Computer for a moment. Rigetti Computer provides full stack quantum computing service. They're based in Berkeley, California. So that's quantum or Rigetti Computing. AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, they were obviously involved with NVIDIA, and NVIDIA's earnings are due out here soon. Everyone's waiting for that, but NVIDIA was created, I guess, people who worked at Advanced Micro Devices went and then started NVIDIA, if I'm not mistaken. AMD, provision of semiconductors, operates through data centers, client gaming, and embedded. All right, so they're based in Santa Clara, California. They've been around since 1969. Advanced Micro Devices, Micron Technology, own shares in it. They're based in Boise, Idaho, engages in the provision of innovative memory and storage solutions, networking, MBUs, embedded business units, storage business units. You know, Micron Technology has been in the news a lot recently with its artificial intelligence and large language models. Teradyne. Teradyne engages in the development of sale of automatic test systems, semiconductors, test robotics, in North Reading, Massachusetts. Teradyne, an incredible performing stock in the artificial intelligence space. Intel, old classic. You know, the big battle going on between Intel, Advanced Micro Devices, and Taiwan Semiconductor, and Intel and Advanced Micro Devices and NVIDIA. Santa Clara, California. Intel engages in the design, manufacture, and sale of computer products and technologies. So, founded in 1968. What else? Coherent. Coherent, an interesting company, engages in the development, refinement, and manufacture and marketing of engineered materials, optoelectronic components, and devices and lasers for industrial communications, electronics, instrumentation markets. They're in Saxonburg, Pennsylvania. So that's Coherent. Lam Research, been around a long time, since 1980, engages in the design, manufacture, marketing, refurbishment, and provision of semiconductor processing equipment used in fabrication of integrated circuits. Lam Research. MongoDB, interesting company. Mongo, the development and provision of general purpose database platforms, founded in New York. So, Mongo. Stock symbol MDB, looking at that. Alphabet Class A. Good old Google. Google's doing a lot of work with quantum computing and quantum computer chips and databases and algorithms and formulas. They're based in Mountain View, California. So these shares are all involved in the quantum computing, the Defiance Quantum ETF, stock symbol QTUM. Again, not financial advice, I'm just doing my research on my trading and speculation desk. So that's what I have for today. I'm just kind of, Bitcoin's off about 1.5%, rolling over. The low for the day at 93,574. Nice bear market. Again, I'm dialing in here my research, MS to strategy. Now, some of the ETFs that I own in the blockchain ETF, BKCH, and then also Block, BLOK, the Amplified Blockchain Technology ETF, they might own some shares in MicroStrategy. So let's see here. Yeah, they own shares in Galaxy Digital Holding. Let's look at Galaxy Digital Holding. I'm just doing a rant video here, doing my research on my trading desk. Galaxy Digital Asset Data Center Infrastructure. Okay, great company, Galaxy Digital. Robinhood. I own shares in Robinhood for the last 5 years or greater. Robinhood's great. Financial services like fintech company, provisions of retail brokerage and trading. Okay, they founded in 2013, Robinhood. Everything's good in the hood. Hut 8. I own Hut 8 shares, we talked about it. Coinbase, CleanSpark, Cipher Mining, IBM. So let's look at IBM. IBM, International Business Machine, information tech company, engages in the provision of integrated solutions that leverage information technology and knowledge of the business process. Following segments: software, consulting, infrastructure, and financing. So they were founded in 1911. Pays a nice dividend too. So IBM. So I might own shares, looking at MicroStrategy, trading less than par value, kind of dialing into it, waiting for it to achieve 100% downtrend on the bar chart indicator. Then I start accumulating, doing the opposite of what everyone else does. So let's see what the stock market's doing here too. The S&P 500, SPY ETF, I own it. What are the great companies that are in SPY? Obviously the concentration is in tech and financial services and consumer cyclical, communication services, healthcare, industrials, consumer defensive, energy stocks, utilities, real estate, and basic materials. So the largest holdings in the S&P 500 ETF is NVIDIA, Apple Computer, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Google, Broadcom, Meta Platforms, Alphabet C, Tesla, and Berkshire Hathaway. So, yeah. So I own shares in all of these companies for the ETF. So that's what we have. I'll continue the DCA SPY ETF every day, and looking at dollar cost average of BKCH, Block, might purchase some more ETH. Market's rolling over right now into bear market conditions. We kind of covered that already. So this is a great washout, before, you always have the stock market, when it goes in the bear market, it goes oversold, and then it clears out all the leverage and margin. And then once all the margin players are done being forced liquidated, then the stock market tends to recover and then goes back up again. So here we go again. And the same thing is true of crypto. Bitcoin goes from $1,000 per Bitcoin to 125,000. So every time it dips in price and goes into a bear market, people are like, oh, it's no good, sell it. Warren Buffett says not to own it. And then it goes back up again, and it achieves a new all-time high. So I have a year-end price target of Bitcoin greater than its all-time high of 125,000, where by the end of December of 2025, it could achieve like 200 to 250,000. So very easily. So you always have the dip, the huge dip first, and then it recovers and goes back up again. So every setup is, and bear market is a setup for the next great recovery and the next rise to greatness. So you got to have the bear market first and then the bull market. So here we go. So that's really what I have today. Nice long rant. Going to go about an hour today, looking at Coinbase here. Coinbase is awesome. Gemini's awesome. Kraken. These are all great deals. Amazing. What a great day. So check out the links below, and then tell me what you think. And please, let's get the word out. I'm getting a lot of traction on my channel and starting to get new subs. Please subscribe to my channel. A special thanks again here, look, to Hallman Motor Cars. They're trying to sell me a new Bentley. They had the Aston Martin there, Bentley, and then also the Rolls Royce. The new Rolls Royce product is beautiful. And so I was also looking at that, and I was also looking at a mega yacht. It's called Missing Link. Beautiful boat. So I was looking at it, man, Missing Link is a 142-foot Christensen boat that's for sale. So I saw that at the FLIBS, the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, and it was represented by Denison Yachting. So this Missing Link boat, 142-foot Christensen, it's a motorboat, used condition, 142 feet, or it's 43.28 meters. The beam is 29 feet. It has MTU engines in it, 2 of them. The model 12V4000 M53, they're 1,850 horsepower each. And draft is 8.2 feet or 2.5 meters. It was built in 2015 and sleeps 12 people. Amazing product. So I'm looking at that, and we'll see. I've done so well with my precious metals and everything, and then Bitcoin, and then the quantum computing stocks and everything. I might just purchase a mega yacht, and then live on it, and then I can do philanthropic work from there, and then doing all kinds of be able to travel and charter the boat once in a while. So now they dropped the price, $1 million price dip. There's news here on Boat International that said that they dropped the price on the Missing Link. The 43.3 meter mega yacht Missing Link has received $1 million price drop to her sales listing. She will be on display at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. So I saw, what a beautiful boat. It was delivered in 2015, and Missing Link is constructed in GRP to design a naval architect, and interior from American designer Carol Williamson. Amazing. Just a beautiful boat. Accommodations, 12 guests, and everything. So I'll put the link down below to the Missing Link yacht that I was on at Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. And special thanks again to Denison Yachting. And you never know, I might just make acquisition of a yacht and then live on it and just be able to travel and then charter the boat once in a while. So that's what I'm looking at. I just don't know how I'd get my new Bentley on there too. I guess I'd have to have it shipped somewhere, but man, incredible boat. So that's what I have, new Bentleys, a new mega yacht, precious metals pumping, Bitcoin's rolling over, a lot of news, the geopolitics with Venezuela, the oil market, Google, Apple Computer, Amazon, NVIDIA, Tesla. And it says here, the question is, here's a question, I give to everyone. Should you purchase NVIDIA stock before November 19th or wait for the post-earnings dip? So that's a question that we got. Now, reading the headlines on here, stocks are supported by strength in chip markets and AI, artificial intelligence stocks. The S&P 500 is up fractionally, the Dow Jones is up, the Nasdaq's up. U.S. stock indexes are moving higher today on some strength in tech stocks, led by a 5% jump in Google Alphabet after Berkshire Hathaway disclosed a $4.9 billion stake in Google or Alphabet. Strength in chip makers and AI infrastructure stocks today support a factor for the broader market. There's a lot of caution, though, ahead of NVIDIA's earnings results after Wednesday's close, is limiting gains in the overall market. Everyone's like holding their breath for NVIDIA. So Peter Thiel fund sold all of his NVIDIA shares, if I'm not mistaken, and so did SoftBank. But with that, though, you know, SoftBank and NVIDIA and Peter Thiel's fund and everything, their stock position is up, I think, 24,000% since the IPO. Earnings from Walmart, Target, and Home Depot this week will provide insight into the health of consumer spending. The market will also look to the release of long-delayed economic news this week because of the government shutdown. Today's economic news was supportive for stocks as November Empire Manufacturing General Business Conditions Survey rose. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said Friday will release September's job report this Thursday. Economic Council Director and October jobs report will be released without unemployment rate. So a lot of people are getting laid off and fired because of the automation process through the artificial intelligence and the blockchain. So that's the reason I write ebooks on the topic, and then I have been an investor and such. So I think it's just going to create, you know, they said the same thing about internet. You know, what is internet back in 1990? And then it became something extraordinary, but it had a bubble also too. So that bubble burst internet in 1999, but internet is still around today. So even after the bust out in the bubble burst in 1999. So the same thing could be said about artificial intelligence. I think it's more like 1991, 92 for AI stocks. Yeah, we'll have volatility and things, but I remember Yahoo, you know, trading Yahoo shares when they went public. Investors, man, leading companies. Wow. Let's see what else. Q3, I'm running a little longer today, about 53 minutes. Q3 corporate earnings season is drawing to a close. 460 of the S&P 500 companies have released results. Overseas stock markets lower. Euro stocks is down about 1%. Now, interest rates. Are they going to lower interest rates to zero? You know, and create more stimmy? Go big? You got the new stimmy checks for $2,000, and then the bank bailouts. A lot of the money center banks could be in trouble too. And then shifting over the national debt into the stable coins. You know, this to me, these are stable coins right here. I know these things, thousands of them. I'm a seller of. 10-year note is down. You know, the 10-year, you got to look at that. T-notes are slightly higher on speculation that the long-delayed U.S. economic news scheduled for release this week will show weakness. U.S. stock movers, Micron Technologies up, AI infrastructure, Western Digital is up 3%, Seagate Technologies, STX, Lam Research is up, ARM Holdings, Applied Materials up, Broadcom, ASML Holdings, and KLA-Tencor is up. Alphabet is up 5%. Again, Berkshire Hathaway, you know, they're smart purchasing Google, man. Google stock is amazing. Zymeworks is up 30% because Jazz Food Pharmaceutical, after their collaboration. Gap, the shopping store Gap. Wow, wow. Aramark is down 6%. Dell Technologies, HP is active. Earnings report, again, we got big news on earnings. So that's what we have. I'm running, a nice long rant today, but that's how I do my research. Again, not a financial advisor. Give the video a thumbs up, guys. Come on, let's get the word out. Subscribe to my channel. I'm looking for subs. So that's what I have for today. So with that, you guys are really important, and thanks for subscribing to my channel. Just remember that everything is awesome, and I always say this to myself every day. I give thanks for my abundant supply that is now manifested. I will have it now. I allow. So I do positive affirmation every day for myself. Like, I allow myself to purchase MicroStrategy when it becomes 100% strong downtrend on bar chart. I allow myself to do that so that I can have the accumulate such. I allow myself to sell all of my, not all, but much of my silver bullion now into this great bull market for the precious metals. I allow myself to own a new Bentley. I allow that. I give thanks for my abundant supply of precious metal that's now manifested. I give thanks for that. And I allow myself to purchase a mega yacht. Looking at that missing link yacht, I want to thanks to Denison Yachting for their effort. So with that, everyone, have a super wonderful day. Again, it's John Taylor on his trading desk, just checking everything out today, looking at the markets. What do we do? Have a TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday. So with that, like and share. Have an awesome day. Thanks for staying with me. 57 minutes, so I'm trying to do a little longer videos every day. I'm pushing that out onto the socials and everything. So thanks again, and look up and believe it. Believe in yourself. Do everything opposite of what people tell you to do. It's been my saving grace for myself. So with that, I tip my Bentley hat to all of my great subscribers, and you have a super wonderful, incredible trading day, and be thankful for Thanksgiving. Thanks. It's John Taylor on his trading day.